It's a tie clinch.
Ooh,
it's
been
ready.
done.
Oh! Jumping knee! Michael goes down!
Anderson lands a flying knee that disables Bisping's ability to stand or walk. At this point, Bisping is still grounded and attempts to speak and even use hand motions to the referee. Listen to what the referee tells Bisping.
The buzzer has sounded. The fight's not over. Fight's not over. Her team is saying the fight is not over. No.
So Herb Dean tells Bisping he didn't stop the fight. He told him the fight's not over 3 times, even, quote, come on, unquote, and get up. With all that said, Bisping remains on the ground.
Michael Bisping, I have to say, Dan, he needs to protect him.
After 19 seconds, and the referee telling Bisping many times to stand up, Bisping finally stands upright and is brought a stool by what seems to be the UFC staff or commission.
At all times, and he was looking at his mouthpiece.
Michael was distracted then by the referee. He was asking for his mouthpiece. Anderson Silva is convinced that this fight is over, but Herb Dean is saying it's not.
Well, no, that's Michael Bisping.
The referee approaches Bisping, the UFC staff, and commission, and lets them know that Bisping needs to go back to his corner because the fight is not over. This does not encourage Bisping to go back to his corner. He remains seated.
The fight's not over. He goes to his corner. The fight's not over. I never fought the fight.
The fight's not over. Michael Bisping is on.
Pay attention to how Michael Bisping physically responds when the referee tells him that he needs to return to his corner because the fight is not over. His head drops as if he is not prepared to fight.
The fight's not over. He goes to his corner. The fight's not over. He goes to his corner.
And now let's continue to listen to the referee tell Bisping the fight is not over, and for the second time telling him he needs to return to his corner.
He's on his chair. His corner should be allowed in.
So you can go to your corner.
The officials weren't letting the cornerman in. There was obviously some confusion. But now Bisping has seen his cornerman, Jason Perillo. He knows he is still in the game.
Very confusing at the end there. So what happened was Michael Bisping was backing up, looking to the referee to try and get his mouthpiece put back in place, but obviously you can't take your eyes off your opponent.
And interestingly, Dan, because of the confusion, there is no cutman working on Bisping.
Michael Bisping does not look himself. He looks dazed. He looks confused. Anderson Silva thought that fight was won and he was already celebrating. But now you've got to expect Anderson Silva.
At this point, it has been 1 minute and 32 seconds in between round 3 and 4. Most of that time, Bisping remained on the ground or seated. In a moment, I'm going to show you a diagram of the octagon. Notice where Michael Bisping's placement is and the time spent in each place. The key point here is to show that Michael Bisping spent most of the time on the ground or seated on a stool. To the left, where you see the letters AC, that stands for Anderson Silva's corner. Each B you see in the ring is an approximate position of Michael Bisping after he's been laid out by Anderson Silva and throughout the intermission. Notice that it took Bisping 35 seconds from the first time he sat on a stool provided by the staff to the first time he sat in a stool when he finally returned to his corner. So here's a recap of Michael Bisping's timeline after the bell rang in round 3 to the beginning of round 4. The intermission total time was 1 minute and 32 seconds. It took Bisping approximately 20 seconds to stand upright in Silva's corner. It took 35 seconds from the time Bisping first sits down on the stool brought to him in Silva's corner to when he first sits on the stool in his own corner. This means it took Bisping 55 seconds to get to his corner after the bell rang in round 3. And even after he sat in the stool, which took him 55 seconds to get to his own corner, he sat down for an additional 25 seconds. So here's the question. Why was the referee spending almost 1/3 of the round intermission to continuously tell a laid out Bisping to get up, to tell him he didn't stop the fight, and to tell him the fight's not over, even though it was Silva celebrating as if the fight was over? Did Bisping think the fight was over? If so, the referee told him immediately after the bell rang the fight was not over. This means if Bisping had any confusion, it was cleared by the referee. So why didn't Bisping get up? Some have assumed that, quote, Anderson Silva caused confusion in the octagon, unquote. Even if this was true, which can be argued, what does that have to do with Bisping's inability to stand up and walk to his own corner? Most of the time, when we see a referee stop the fight, usually the fighter that is being hit will argue with the referee as if, no, they were okay. Bisping does nothing of the kind. Remember Bisping's physical action when the referee tells him the fight's not over. Now, why did it take the referee 15 seconds to tell a celebrating Anderson Silva the fight's not over? Why wasn't Anderson notified first and sooner? So finally, if a fighter is told by the referee the fight's not over, if he's told to get up, if he's told to go to his corner more than one time, and the fighter does not follow these instructions, does that mean the fighter doesn't want to listen, or the fighter cannot do what the referee is asking? Either way, the fighter is at fault. The real question here is, what is the fighter's obligation in between rounds? Is it to lie on the ground? And even if so, are you allowed to lie in the other fighter's corner, or are you supposed to go to your corner? I think that question is answered by common sense. Michael Bisping was knocked out before round 3 ended by Anderson Silva's flying knee, and he was not able to continue. He got more time than what's usually allowed by the rules, and that's exactly why he was even able to continue.